I'm Frederick Davis, Director of your Michigan State Police. Because of your continuing interest in the work of the Michigan State Police, we made this film. It is an attempt to give you a brief look at the many law enforcement and service activities of this organization. I hope you are as proud of your state police as I am to serve with this fine body of dedicated men. Perhaps after you have seen this film, you'll have a better understanding of all of the public services which are so well symbolized by this badge and your state trooper.
The state police car is a familiar sight to those of us who use Michigan's highways. In fact, patrol occupies about 60% of the total state police effort. The red warning flasher could mean one of many things: traffic violation, accident, blockade, or as here, a trooper giving assistance to a motorist in trouble. A patrolling trooper, if he's a trained scuba diver, might find himself suiting up for an underwater search. Scuba diving is a popular water sport for many. The state police diver, however, is involved with the tragic results of water accidents or the recovery of evidence. Then, too, the conditions aren't always pleasant. Searches are made regardless of season. Sometimes the recovered object is not easily handled. A trooper faces a variety of conditions. The deep snow of a Michigan winter adds to the beauty of the countryside, but it will also produce problems. In the more remote areas, the trooper is equipped for these conditions. Trooper's training and equipment prepare him for practically any situation. The search for a lost hunter, the rescue of an injured skier, or delivery of an emergency message to an isolated cabin. When the distance is great and seconds count, the quickest way is by air. State police planes are used not only for blood relay, but also for emergency rescues, for locating fugitives and missing persons, and for the rapid transport of state police personnel. A pilot flying a mission of mercy will try to land his vital cargo as near as possible to the point of need. This is often a sod emergency landing strip. This is part of the state police work familiar to most of us. But what of the training and other services not so familiar? The answers are to be found at State Police Headquarters at East Lansing, where the trooper begins his career. Before he reports for training, a recruit has had several interviews and has successfully passed many tests, including general background, intelligence, and physical agility. During the recruit's 8 weeks of training, a large part of his time will be spent in physical conditioning. Swimming, life-saving, physical combat, self-protection, skills valuable to a trooper in the field. An even more concentrated course of study is found in the classroom. A staff of instructors, each active in his specialty, guides the education of the recruit. Youth problems and juvenile delinquency. First aid and water safety. Post routine and patrol problems. Modern techniques in the collection and preservation of evidence. Morality and ethics. Civil government and law. Traffic control, enforcement and accident investigation. Investigative techniques in the fields of gambling, illegal narcotics, robbery, murder, burglary, forgery, arson, and counterfeiting. The recruit will spend many hours of study gaining knowledge which will be important to him as a trooper. The time spent dry firing his .38 caliber revolver will develop skills that he will put to use on the range. Under close supervision with live ammunition, he will gain confidence and further develop his accuracy. As a trooper, he may never have to use his gun, but experience gained here will prepare him for the time when he might be forced to use it. His firearms training will include other weapons: machine gun, riot gun, carbine, gas gun. When gas is used for mob or riot control, or to force an armed criminal from a building, the trooper must know how to use a gas mask. So recruit training includes gas drills. Other practical knowledge is gained in a simulated traffic accident, which prepares the recruit to use his classroom first aid training. Later, his knowledge might mean life to an injured person. His basic training completed, one more important step remains before his assignment as a trooper: graduation.
The honor and traditions of the Department of State Police.
The honors and traditions of the Department of State Police.
Obeying all rules and regulations and carrying out all orders which may be lawfully given me by my superior officer.
His badge from the director. A career has begun. The patrolling trooper, no matter where his duties take him, relies upon the many headquarters facilities to help him do an effective job. Access to these services is provided through an efficient communications network, linking all mobile units with their post, district, and state headquarters. Here's how it works. This trooper has stopped a car he suspects is stolen. To check the driver's story, he contacts his post and requests verification of driver and vehicle status. The desk officer at the post relays the message to State Police Headquarters. Here it is typed as received. The Communications Division is the message and information center not only for state police, but for all Michigan law enforcement agencies. Telephone, radio, and teletype are principal means of receiving and sending information. As the trooper's request for verification is received, a file clerk enters the data on a search card. The Communications Center has ready access to the records of every registered vehicle and every licensed driver in the state. These files also contain up-to-date information on aircraft registration, missing persons, runaway juveniles, fugitives, and warrants. It is organized so that a specific record can be located quickly. In a matter of minutes, the trooper gets an answer. At the Communications Center, the message may also come from a city police department or a county sheriff reporting a bank holdup or an armed robbery. If a blockade is requested, the communication center serves as a coordinator of the blockade system. Police agencies in the area are alerted. They in turn man highway checkpoints according to a predetermined plan. Communication is the key to rapid mobilization, not only for a blockade, but in other emergencies. Tornado. Through the Civil Defense Network, aid is on the way. A disaster no one could foresee, and yet months of civil defense planning will yield prompt help that is badly needed. The State Office of Civil Defense is a division of the state police. The director is the commander of the Emergency Task Force, which includes all state agencies involved in the civil defense effort. The organization of the trained civil defense volunteer who is willing to perform unpleasant, difficult jobs will speed and lighten the task of recovery. Here, nature was a source of human suffering. Too often, man himself is an agent of destruction. A driver has no right to threaten the lives of others on the highway. The trooper, representing the people of Michigan, enforces the rules vital for safety on our highways. Was violated, lives endangered, enforcement action is taken. The penalty for this violation will be measured in dollars. For others, the price is much higher. During his career, a trooper investigates thousands of accidents. The causes are many, but behind them all lies thoughtlessness or even willful disregard for the safety of others. His report will state facts, name, time, place, but there is no space on the form to indicate the pain of an injury, the tragedy of permanent crippling or disfigurement, or the finality of death. Accident reports from law enforcement agencies throughout Michigan are forwarded to the Safety and Traffic Division at East Lansing. These reports become part of the statistical story of Michigan's traffic problems. Their purpose is to form a basis for recommendations on selective enforcement, speed zones, parking control, right-of-way designation, traffic signals, roadway design, even traffic law. Our traffic laws and safety rules are not, as some think, based on whim or fancy. Their need is demonstrated by the highway injuries and deaths of many thousands of motorists. Highway statistics form a large part of the records here, but by no means all. There are sections devoted to fraudulent checks, illegal drugs, arrests, cases of criminal activity from trespass to murder, and many, many more. There are records in the stolen property and pawn shop section that include names, thumbprints, and lists of pawned items required of pawnbrokers by Michigan law. This information has proved to be a valuable aid in returning stolen property. All of this information, organized for quick retrieval, forms the memory of the state police. It is a memory that is longer and wider than any individual criminal or criminal organization could hope to possess. This memory provides the biggest single headquarters service to the trooper: information. Here is another source of information. The trooper at the scene of a crime. In this case, an assault. From what they learn at the scene, they are often able to apprehend the suspect. The investigation may be continued by a state police detective, himself a former patrol officer. An investigation might call for the use of the polygraph or lie detector. This service is available to all Michigan law enforcement agencies. The polygraph might better be called a truth detector, for over half of the people who take the test are cleared of any guilt. Investigation of illegal narcotics traffic eventually leads to a pusher and his method of doing business. Attempting to apprehend a pusher requires narcotics squad detectives to blend with their surroundings. Is made marijuana. The arrest is carried off so smoothly that few others are aware of it. A car and driver parked at night in front of a darkened building. To patrolling troopers, this calls for a check. He's probably a tired motorist, but a burglary could be in progress and this man the lookout. While one trooper questions him, his partner checks the building for signs of forced entry. Few burglaries are discovered in progress. But when one has been committed, state police investigators begin a detailed search for any possible clue that might lead them to a solution. Success may depend upon the willing cooperation of those who feel that support of law enforcement is one of the duties of citizenship. Working with the trooper, a detective will include dusting for fingerprints in his search for evidence. A man's print is not usually visible. At headquarters, an entire section is devoted to the developing or raising of latent fingerprints. The services of this unit are available to city and county enforcement agencies as well as to state police. These experts may be asked to examine guns, bottles, documents, burglary tools, parts of vending machines or steering wheels, a wide range of objects that could bear a print. To the trained eye of the technician, all fingerprints conform to one of several basic patterns. By identifying the pattern and then the individual characteristics within the pattern, the technician can assign a code identification to each set of prints. They can be systematically filed and quickly relocated for comparison. All police agencies of the state are required by law to record the fingerprints of every person arrested in connection with a felony. The Michigan State Police have one of the largest fingerprint identification bureaus in the country. Another headquarters service is the crime lab. The laboratory personnel examine all types of material in the quest for evidence. A chip of paint, a strand of hair, a button or bits of fabric. A suspicious package is X-rayed to determine its contents. These are crystals found in the trouser cuff of a burglary suspect. Microscopic examination under polarized light will determine if they are a substance used in the insulation of a safe. The fraudulent check unit examines bad checks, attempting to match them with the work of known forgers. Nearly half of the fraudulent checks processed here are identified either with a known check passer or with checks already on file. One of the keys to efficient crime detection is the coordination between the various headquarters services. This check, forwarded to the crime lab, came from a safe found in a river. Chemically treated and examined under ultraviolet light, handwriting is rendered visible and will lead to the identity of the owner. The Michigan Department of Health also cooperates in the scientific detection of crime. Their laboratory is specially equipped for the analysis of unknown substances. The State Police Crime Laboratory services are available to all law enforcement agencies. A sheriff's deputy brings in evidence for examination by the crime lab. Here, a city police officer brings in a gun for a ballistics examination. This gun has been taken from a man suspected of being involved in several robberies. The question, will a bullet fired from this gun match a bullet found at the scene of one of the robberies? Each gun, when fired, leaves markings on the bullet which are individual to that gun alone. The markings could be called the fingerprints of a gun. This bullet and the bullet recovered at the scene of the crime are placed in a comparison microscope, an instrument which magnifies both bullets so that the marks can be compared. A perfect match. Some of the crime lab activities are in research. Here, bulletproof glass is being tested. The purpose? To determine the effects of various weights, calibers, and velocities on bullet penetration. The crime lab maintains an extensive gun collection as an instrument of crime detection and for research. One model of each gun type confiscated can be found here. These weapons have been seized by police for various reasons. Some have been used in the commission of a crime, some stolen, others unregistered. Michigan requires all concealed weapons be registered, and the state police gun files contain a copy of each registration. Illegal weapons not held for testing are destroyed by melting them down in a blast furnace. The crime lab services are taken to the field through their mobile unit. The mobile lab is outfitted to facilitate the collection and preservation of evidence. It makes possible preliminary examination of a crime scene with equipment not normally available. One of the most difficult crimes to detect is that of arson. For help in determining whether a fire was deliberately or accidentally caused, the trooper can call for an investigator from the State Police Fire Marshal Division. While part of the Fire Marshal Division's time is spent checking for causes, an even greater part is spent in the prevention of fire. Before places of public assembly are built, investigators check the construction plans to make sure that fire safety regulations will be met. Regular inspections of buildings such as hospitals, schools, and theaters are made to ensure compliance with safety standards. The specialist in daily emergency is still, however, the trooper. A frantic mother, her daughter missing, turns to the state police for help. The desk officer immediately dispatches a trained dog tracking team. The dog's sensitive nose picks up the trail. the search end here, or will the dog continue to track? Here again, teamwork paid. In law enforcement, teamwork means more than cooperation between experts and official agencies. You, person on your right, the one on your left, good citizens everywhere are the most important part of law enforcement. For your state police to carry out the duties assigned them by the people of Michigan, to enforce your laws, to prevent crime, to protect your life and property, they need the wholehearted cooperation of you, the people they serve.